If you've been in the workforce any period of time, you've probably been told at some point in your career to just be yourself. I was once part of a company where we had a whole campaign around bring your whole self to work. But I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial, especially coming from a former HR executive. That advice is quietly costing high performers their promotions. Because here's what I've seen after 20 years as a SVP and head of HR, sitting in those rooms where senior level promotions were actually decided. The people who get promoted are not always the most authentic. They are the most trusted. And those are not the same thing. I'm not saying to play a role at work and not to be yourself, not at all. Authenticity is not the problem. Uncalibrated authenticity is. And if you don't understand the difference, you can be incredibly capable and still not be seen as ready for a promotion. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 very specific moments where authenticity actually works against you at work and what to do instead so you're still you, but the sharpest, most calibrated executive version of you. First, let's reset how to think about this. We should stop looking at our company as a self-expression environment. Instead, if you're ambitious and you want to climb that ladder, you need to see work as a performance and perception environment. Because at the senior levels, people are constantly asking themselves one question about you. Do I trust this person at the next level? They're not asking, are they bringing their whole selves to work? They're asking, can this person handle pressure, complexity, and visibility without creating risk? So when your authenticity shows up in a way that introduces doubt, even unintentionally, it can work against you. That's what we're going to fix. Let's start with a big one. And that is oversharing in meetings. And this is usually coming from a really good place. You're engaged, you're thinking ahead, you want to connect with others and contribute, so you start talking. And it might sound like, let me just think through this out loud. This reminds me of one time when, one option could be this, but I'm not sure. Here's the problem. At senior levels, that does not read as thoughtful. It reads as unclear. And clarity is one of the biggest signals of leadership. So while you feel authentic because you're sharing your real-time thinking, what others are perceiving about you is, I'm not sure they have a strong point of view. And that creates doubt. Here's what to do instead. Pause before you speak, even if it's just for 3 seconds. Filter your thoughts before they come out of your mouth. Then lead with, here's what matters. Or the key decision here is, or my recommendation is. You can still be authentic, but now you're delivering processed thinking, not raw input. That's the shift. The second moment is emotional reactivity under pressure. And this one is subtle sometimes, but it's really powerful. When there's pressure, we all have a default mode that, if left unchecked, can derail us. So for instance, under pressure, maybe your tone tightens. Maybe you get defensive in feedback. Maybe frustration shows up in how you respond. And again, it's real, it's authentic, it's human, but here's how it gets interpreted at the higher level. Can they handle pressure at the next level? Because the stakes only go up from here. So emotional control becomes a proxy for leadership capacity. Let me be very clear. This is not about being robotic. It's about being steady, because steadiness is what makes people trust you in high stakes environments. Here's what to do instead. When you feel triggered under pressure, slow everything down. Slow your speech, lower your tone, create space before responding. Even saying, let me take a moment to think about that, is a power move. You're still authentic, but you're not leaking emotion in a way that can create doubt. Third, being too honest. And this one is something I hear all the time. People say, I'm just a very direct person. I just say it like it is. But here's the truth. Unfiltered honesty is not a leadership strength. Calibrated honesty is. Because when you deliver your raw opinions, especially to senior leaders, without context or framing, it can come across as abrasive, lacking awareness, or simply risky. And risk is the fastest way to get excluded from promotion conversations. Here's what to do instead. Anchor everything in business impact. So instead of, this isn't going to work, it's just not a good idea, say, the risk I see with this approach is X, and here's what I would recommend instead. Same insight, completely different perception. That's the game. Fourth, over-identifying with being helpful. This is where so many high performers get stuck because you're the go-to person. You fix things. You say yes, you step in, you do it better than anybody else, and it feels really good. It feels like you're being a great team player, but here's the problem. Helpful does not equal promotable. And in fact, it often keeps you anchored exactly where you are. How can they possibly lose you from this critical role of doer? Because in that role, you're signaling, I'm excellent at execution, not I'm ready to lead at the next level. Here's what to do instead. Start operating at the level above your role. That means prioritizing, not absorbing, naming trade-offs, making decisions visible, saying things like, given priorities and capacity challenges, here's where I think we should focus. Now you're not just helping, you are leading. And fifth, being too casual too quickly. And I saw this play out a number of times when I was in the executive table in corporate. And it surprises some people because they think if I'm relaxed, I'm going to build connections. But what actually happens is you lower your perceived level. Because at senior levels, people are constantly reading you for awareness, judgment, context sensitivity. So when you show up overly casual too quickly, it can signal they don't fully understand the environment yet. Here's what to do instead. Match the room before you try to influence it. Calibrate your tone, your energy, your language. Then, once credibility is established, you can expand. Authenticity does not mean immediate informality. It means intentional presence. So here's the through line in all of this. Authenticity is not the goal. Trust is the goal. And the leaders who get promoted fastest understand this. It's not about being less of yourself. It's about being more intentional about how you show up. This is what I call calibrated authenticity. You're still you, but you're clear instead of verbose. You're steady instead of reactive. You're thoughtful instead of unfiltered. Strategic instead of just helpful. And when you make that shift, everything changes because now people don't just like you, they trust you at that next level. If you're watching this and thinking to yourself, I'm doing great work, but I'm not sure I'm being perceived as ready for a promotion, this could likely be the gap. It's not your capability. It's how your capability is being experienced. And that's fixable. In my upcoming group program, the Promoted Academy, I walk you through this exact shift that will change how senior leaders see you today so that you can finally be perceived as ready now, not someday, now. You can get on the priority wait list below, and I hope to see you inside.